Welcome to Fresh Film World, the show that gives you random film reviews through my perspective. Today we have some old rumors on Beetlejuice 2, and I'll also be dipping my hands on a horror cult classic. The sequel to the dark comedy fantasy Beetlejuice have been picking up steam recently, with rumors that Tim Burton might be returning to direct, with a script written by Grahame-Smith, who wrote both Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter and Dark Shadows, along with David Katzenberg, who's pretty new to the Hollywood scene, so that's concerning. I think it's also safe to say that if Tim Burton's directing, Michael Keaton will also be returning to the title role. I'm actually excited about this, even with these two writers involved. I finally watched the first one last year and I freaking loved it. I'd even dare to say that it's one of Tim Burton's finest work. So what do you think about Hollywood making this sequel? Do you agree with this decision, or do you think they should just leave this franchise alone? Let us know below. Now continuing on with part 2 of last episode's film review request. Also, can you review the new Evil Dead and compare it to the old one? Smiley face. Well, let's not diddy-daddle and get right on it.
I have seen the dark shadows moving in the woods, and I have no doubt that whatever I have resurrected through this book is sure to come calling for me.
No, it was the woods themselves. They're alive, Ashley.
I fear that the only way to stop those possessed by the spirits of the book is through the act of bodily dismemberment.
The Evil Dead is a horror film about 5 friends who travel to a cabin in the woods where they unknowingly release flesh-possessing demons. It's written, produced, and directed by Sam Raimi, who went on to direct films like Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, For Love of the Game, the Spider-Man trilogy, and most recently, Oz the Great and Powerful. It stars a bunch of actors and actresses that, again, I don't really know except for Bruce Campbell, who is a personal close friend of Raimi and also a producer of the film. I remember a few years back trying to watch this film, and after the first 10 minutes I had to stop it because I noticed the continuity issue with the sky, which was pretty obvious, and its off-putting edit. I was such a naive snob. It's just a minor thing and I don't know why I made such a big deal out of it, so I apologize, Sam Raimi. Not that you watch this show, but how awesome it would be if he did, huh? Thanks to this request, I was finally able to watch this film in its entirety with a fresh new set of eyeballs, so thank you, subscriber. Great request. Great request. The story and plot of the film is pretty simple, nothing special really, but for some reason it works thanks to the rawness of the cinematography. The dark tone it set up was great and fitting for a horror film, especially during the tape playback scene. That gives me a little bit of a chill still. And I can't help but notice the filmmaking portion of it, such as the ambitious camera works done for an extremely low budget film, which ended up giving us great composition and also innovate the cinema world. The makeup, practical effects, and gore are pretty dated and tame by today's standard, but believe me, it still does the job pretty darn well. And you could also feel that this is a passion project from Sam Raimi too. Side note, this is definitely a film that any independent filmmaker should use as an inspiration, much like Robert Rodriguez's El Mariachi. I've heard that a lot of people consider this to be part comedy, but I have to disagree with them with a conviction. Now, Evil Dead 2 on the other hand is a completely different story. And as for the comparison with the new Evil Dead that I just reviewed, I thought the new Evil Dead did the original justice. It was able to capture the dark feel of it, and after watching the original, it made me appreciate the remake even more, which is more suitable for the current generation, so you can tell how influential the original is. Therefore, I'm giving this a solid good. I was just in love with so many of the camera works done on this film, and while it might be a grueling job for the people who work on this, since I've heard that the weather was so cold while they were making it, but I can still tell that Sam Raimi had tons of fun with it. And you know the cliche where the original is always better than the remake? because that cliche can't be far from the truth with this film, even though the remake is also a pretty solid film by its own right.
I don't care what happens to her. She's your girlfriend, you take care of her.
Now it's time for me to stop this recording before I accidentally summon any evil demons. But before you and I go, be sure to post any sort of comments you might have below. And if you have any film review requests, that would also be the place to post them. Additionally, if you like the show, be sure to show us your love and support by subscribing. It's just one click away, super simple. So you'll be in the know as to when the newest episode is being posted and etc. But that's it folks, I'll see you at the next review.